Let's start to study about discourse analysis. What is discourse analysis? There are multiple definitions of discourse analysis. First, let's see what is discourse. Discourse is a particular unit of language above the sentence. A discourse in structure, it is a particular focus on language use is called discursive function. If we say a particular unit of language above the sentence is to be called discourse in structure, and when we call a particular focus on language use is called discourse a function. Now let's see this individually discourse in structure and discourse in function. First, discourse in structure. Problem: you can have a unit which looks like a sentence but does not mean anything. For example, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. But on the other hand, the units in which people speak do not always look like sentence. You can run a how watch you now watch you can run a house, you can run a house and do the job in most cases. How do you analyze something which is not a sentence? Discourse is a system of functions. For example, what's time? Aquatic function opens a contact. Emotive functions conveys the need of the speaker. Cognitive function asks something of the addressee. Referential functions makes references to the word outside the language. The problem: discourse analysis may turn into a more general and broader analysis of language functions. Definitions number 2. Discourse can be called either written or spoken. For example, if we see discourse that follows the context, particular context, whether that may be the religious context or political context or historical context or ceremonial context or anything else, in which there might be needed of speaker or writer, hearer or reader. Now, the objects of discourse. Discourse refers to any utterance which is meaningful. These texts can be written text, oral text, speech, talk, mixed written, oral text, e.g., internet chat. Discourse does not depend on the size of a text. Person and lady can both be analyzed a discourse. Now let's see scope and influences of discourse analysis. The scope of discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is not a discipline which exists on its own. It is influenced by other disciplines and influences them as well. It is a two-way process. For this reason, discourse analysis examines spoken and written text from all sorts of different areas: medical, legal, advertising, and from all sorts of perspectives: race, gender, power. Discourse analysis is the number of practical applications. For example, in analyzing communication problems in medicine, psychotherapy, education, in analyzing written style, etc. Now, influences on discourse analysis. Discourse analysis based on certain influences. These include these influences include social sociolinguistics influence, psycholinguistic influence, computational linguistics influence, pragmatics influences. However, there are other linguistic disciplines and other non-linguistic disciplines. They come also under various impacts or influences. Let's study about 5 approaches to discourse analysis. Number 1 approach to discourse is the speech act approach. Founder of speech theory are John Austin and John Serial. There are different types of speech acts. For example, speak louder, directive, directive approach. Oxford Street is a sharper's paradise, assertive approach. Although speech act theory was not first developed as a mean of analyzing discourse, particular issues in speech act theory, indirect speech acts, multiple functions of utterance lead to discourse analysis. Second approach to discourse is interactional sociolinguistics that represent the combination of three disciplines, anthropology, sociology, and linguistics, that focuses on how people from different cultures may share grammatical knowledge of a language, but contextualize what is said differently to produce different messages. For example, ye, bring them down here. I'll flog them for you. This is Australian English. Now, the third approach to discourse analysis, the ethnography of communication. The way we communicate depends a lot on the culture we come from. Some stereotypes: Finnish people, the hardest nation for communication, quiet and serious. Turkish people, very talkative and friendly. Ethnography investigates speaker culture. Number 4 approach is pragmatics. H.P. Grice, the Cooper cooperative principle and conversational maxims were generated by H.P. Grice. It means H.P. Grice was the founder of cooperative principle and conversational maxims. People interact by using minimal assumptions about one another. Number 5 approach is conversational analysis. Conversational analysis is particularly interested in the sequencing of utterances, that is not in what people say about, but in how they say it. For example, A, this Mr. Smith, may I help you? B, and I can't hear you. A, this is Mr. Smith. B, Smith. How do you analyze discourse? Various ways depends on what sort of discourse you are interested in, constituting an object versus realizing a social action. Usually some cultural object, marriage, crime, obesity, etc. Data, media text, example given, news reports, magazine articles, newspaper features, personal accounts. For example, in interview, the diary can be analyzed.